So how will Devin Vassell fit next season with Wemby, Fox, and Castle?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you're having a great day. And thanks for coming here to Locked On Spurs every single day. You guys are the everydayers. Subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts, such as YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. Don't forget the KENS 5 Plus app. You can go there, watch Locked On Spurs. So many ways to get Locked On Spurs ASAP. And while you're at it, go subscribe to the Locked On Spurs YouTube. Why? Because we're going to be talking about some fan comments in a bit. But we'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave some comments, and we'll read them in a future episode of Locked On Spurs. Maybe today. Yeah, you probably see it on the rundown already. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All right, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what we're talking about today. But if you're not, you're just listening in, we're going to be putting to focus Devin Vassell with Wemby, Castle. His rookie season was great. He's like going to have a larger role next season. The addition of Fox, how's he going to fit in that pretty much jumbled pack right there of guys that may be ahead of him on the offensive end, maybe the defensive end? We'll hear from him in just a few minutes. We're going to look back at his first season, or last season, I should say. What did we like? What didn't we like? Some numbers. And then, we talked about the Locked On Spurs fan comments. We're going to be discussing those in just a few minutes. Going to bring in our guest. He is back, everybody. And make sure you follow him on X because he's the big dog. Yes, he's the Vin dog. KENS 5's very own Vinnie Vinzetta. Make sure to follow him on X at Vinzetta. Vinny, how you doing, buddy?
How am I doing? Let's never do the Final Four and the Valero Texas Open in the same week ever again. A lot of fun, but we were from the Alamo Dome to TPC San Antonio like every single day. So that was quite a rush of a week, but fun at the same time.
A peek behind the curtain, everybody. I actually tried to get Vinny on earlier this week. He nicely said, Jeff, I need a day off. He pretty much said it like that. But Vinny, I'm glad you're recuperating. You're back on your feet. Hey, you don't have to worry about Spurs playoff action, I guess. There's that.
Well, I've been running a lot of on the news. I've been running a lot of off-season Spurs, Sam. We're getting a little tired of the off-season starting on tax day, but the good days, as the great Sean Elliott keeps pointing out, the good days they're back on the way. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's a great segue too, because next season the Spurs will boast a roster of Fox, Wemby, and Castle. And as of this recording, who knows what the offseason is going to bring, but Devin Vassell as well. Those are some 4 good players on the roster. Obviously, some are ahead of us, Wemby, Fox. But then there's Devin. He kind of was the go-to guy towards the end of last season because of the injuries to Fox and Wemby. He's kind of a Tim and Castle. We'll look at some numbers and see how he closed the season. But for the most part, kind of was third, fourth fiddle a few times this season when those players were out there. Now, obviously, you're probably not going to play all 4 together. I don't know. Maybe they should play all 4 together, but we shall see. But you look back at last season, Vinny, was there anything you liked, maybe you didn't like from Devin?
Well, starting offensively, you remember the great Lou Williams bounced around from, say, the Hawks and the Clips and a few others, maybe the Sixers. I can't remember, but he was kind of known as like a professional scorer. Mm-hmm. I've always said that about Devin, like the guy knows how to score the basketball. Now, he did talk about how in his offseason comments right before the last regular season game, he talked about how there was a stretch this season where he couldn't throw the darn ball in the ocean. Yeah. Now, every player is going to go through those kind of stretches, but I respect him as a scorer. That moving mid-range jumper of his can be lethal most of the time. He's a three-point shooter. I'd like to see him maybe attack the rim a little bit more, but he's good at that. So I've always said professional scorer, respect his offensive game. I think his defense has steadily improved. Mm-hmm. And I think from hearing his offseason comments or headed to the offseason, he would tell you that he wants to maybe be a little locked down more on defense than he has been. And I certainly respect and appreciate him saying that. But love his offensive game. It's only going to get better. And then I think he wants to play better defense too.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at some numbers. So last season, 16.3 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.9 assists in 31 minutes per game. And that was in 64 games played. He started 53 of those. So again, not terrible, not good, but not great, but very serviceable. Now, look how he wrapped up last season. Now, keep in mind, he's had out a few games to close the season. In the last 10 games of the Spurs, well, at least the games that he played, I should say, 17.3 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, 2.4 assists in 31 minutes. And he started all those 10 games, obviously because of the injuries to Wemby and Fox. So there's definitely potential for him to be an offensive threat and a defensive threat. But, we're here from him in a few minutes. But I look back at last season, again, kind of stumbling out of the blocks, and he addressed it too at the end of the season. Injuries. We have not seen Devin play a complete game, at least close to 82 games. Maybe this past season was the closest we got, but he recognized that too. I think that's kind of one of the biggest hurdles in the last few years for him, I should say, is just injuries. Again, we saw it last season.
That's been very, very frustrating for him. Like nobody's waiting for an 82 game regular season more than that guy is. Just as soon as he feels like he's going, and on the other hand, B, can't even get out of the blocks. I mean, it's always been something. So you just kind of cross your fingers and hope that maybe that guy gets some good health. I mean, you don't want to see him go through like a Zach Collins type saga where he's missing basically full seasons for a couple of years. And it's not been that, but yes, you would like to see him fully healthy and just have his full complement all season long, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned his defense. That's kind of one of my biggest surprises. I guess I'll have to put it in the negative pile. Is coming out of Florida State. He was kind of known for defense, so that was kind of his thing. And he hasn't really panned out to be that type of defensive player. Now, I get it, NBA, different level, different schemes, different, obviously, the level of talent. But nevertheless, I would expect him to take a leap next season in defense. Again, we'll hear from him in just a few minutes. But I look at Devin Vassell, and there's a part of me sometimes I think he's better suited off the bench. What do you think about that idea, that concept?
So when you say that, I think of how great Manu Ginobili was off the bench and how much he actually embraced and liked that role.
Yeah.
And he had that Energizer bunny type stuff. I see that in Devin. Like he can provide that kind of energy and spark, being maybe the first guy off the bench if he was to come into the game that way. So I agree with that thought. I mean, he's an energy guy. I mean, maybe he's not as riled up as, say, Keldon is after he scored a basket and foul. But, yeah, Devin he's kind of a water bug. He can be everywhere, plays so high tempo and with so much energy. I can see that, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. And but overall, definitely a nice complementary piece for the Spurs rebuild moving forward. Obviously, there's going to be guys ahead of him when their numbers are called. It's likely going to be Fox. It's going to be Wemby for sure. There's a threat there too. I don't mean to be the negative, Vinny, but there's just the stars rising for Castle. He plays a little bit better defense. He can create his own shots. He's fearless. Not to say Devin isn't any of that, but you can see it. The eye test tells you, there's something special with Castle. Yep. So that's kind of dropping him down on that depth chart. But before he can hear from Devin Vassell, just a few minutes, I do want to give him props, though, because last season he did shoot a respectable 37% from the three-point line. So I think that was good. Not great, but it was good considering the Spurs don't really have that many snipers from beyond the arc. And I hope that trends next season. But let's take a break. Let's hear from Devin in just a few minutes. We'll hear what he envisions moving forward now with a little roster with three good players, Castle, Fox, and Wemby. Coming up next, right here on Locked On Spurs with Vinnie Vinzetta. Be sure to follow him on X at @VVinzetta right now. He is with KENS 5 TV. But first, I want to talk to you about Car Gurus. Shopping for a car should be exciting, not exhausting, but between the confusing prices and hidden fees, it can feel overwhelming. That's why I love Car Gurus. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus have more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace in the U.S. They verify dealers, provide real price analysts, and give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second-guessing yourself. Need a deal you can trust? Car Gurus makes it easy to compare vehicles side by side with unbiased deal ratings. Best feature, price drop alert, so you know exactly when the perfect car is available for your budget. Look, it's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Plus, the in-depth vehicle details give you peace of mind before stepping into any lot. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com, cargurus.com. Spring is here. That means it's home project season. Whether you're refreshing a room or tackling a full renovation, Wayfair is the best kept secret for all things home improvement. From small updates like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanities, sink, or outdoor lighting, Wayfair has quality products for every budget. Look, their free fast shipping makes it so easy. No hauling heavy items from the store. You got top brands like GE, Moen at great prices. Shopping is seamless. You find exactly what you need to fit your space and style. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started now at Wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from Cybertron Springs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that's the #1 option on the Spurs, the secret weapon. Yeah, it's not Wemby. It's Vinnie Vinzetta of KENS 5 TV. Follow him on X at @VVinzetta. Maybe he'll sign an autograph for you. Maybe. You think?
I sign like a doctor's signature. You'd have no idea what the hell it even says, but I'll sign.
You know, mine is just one big J. I just do a J and then I do a line across.
You gotta respect.
And then I'm done. I'm like, all right, moving on. All right, we're talking about Devin Vassell, putting him in focus and looking at how he'll fit moving forward in the rebuild now that the Spurs are seemingly stacked with 3 good players, Wemby, Fox, and Castle. Where does Devin fit in? So before we answer that question, let's hear from Devin himself. This is what he had to say following the conclusion of last season, courtesy of your San Antonio Spurs.
Trying to make sure that, I want to work on my handle. I want to make sure that, with De'Aaron and Vic and Steph and people that we have here that's going to cause more and more attention, I know I'm probably going to be getting a lot more open looks. So just being consistent, being able to space the floor and making sure that, if they double off of Vic, we know where, what I'm saying, if they're doubling off of De'Aaron because he's having a good game or however it goes, like we have so many weapons and going forward, like it's going to be, I just know I'll probably get a lot of open looks and just being that knockdown shooter. And then just having my game translate through everything. Like, there might be games where I don't score like that, but just impacting the ball defensively, being a pest. We got Vic in the back line, but if we can pressure the ball, be in the pass lanes, we'll be able to get out and run. So just going back and looking back at the season and seeing like what I did good, what I did bad, and then just learning from that.
Is it
to have, at the end of the day, you don't got to worry about maybe a team scout just worried about on you. And that's amazing because like I said, I'll be getting open shots. I'll be getting better looks, easier looks, whatever the case may be. You look at a championship team, it's not just one person. It's not just 2 people. It's just a collective. So as we continue to grow this thing and try and make this a championship level team, obviously we're just going to keep getting better and better. And it's going to be more and more pieces. So we got to be able to fill spots, fit each other. And we all just got to be able to play for each other and play together.
There you have it. Devin Vassell talking about how he envisions his role moving forward. And right off the bat, my takeaway, Vinny, is he's aware of it. He knows it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He recognizes, he completely recognizes who he needs to be moving forward. No doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the fact that not only is he aware of it, that he seemingly is willing to change his entire maybe style of play. You mentioned in the first segment defense, and that stood out for me as well. In that quick clip we saw, he's saying, be more of a pest. Recognize that he's not going to get that much attention. Taking advantage of that opportunity. He even said that he's not going to be probably the focal point of a scouting report. You kind of look at it And his fit, dare I say, he may actually flourish considering he has that many weapons around him. Your thoughts?
Completely agree. I mean, I love what he said offensively. Like, basically, he insinuated, look for my spots. I mean, be ready. Like, am I going to get every look? No. But when teams are doubling a Victor Wembanyama or a De'Aaron Fox or maybe a young Stephon Castle, maybe I can sneak around and find my spots and hit big shots. So, again, yes, he recognizes what is happening, and I think he fully understands the role he needs to play. And that's being a team guy, man. I like hearing a guy say that I need to be busy on the defensive end. Like, as much as I want to put the basketball in the basket, if I've got to play some tight defense on the other end, that's what they need me to do. So I loved everything. That's why I pointed it out to you that we should play it in this show. Right. I love everything that he said there. Like, that's totally understanding what the Spurs are about to try to develop into. So much respect to Devin for saying it and then hopefully embracing that role.
Yeah, and right off the bat too, that knowing that he is aware of that his role may have to change and shift dramatically next season. The one thing I got on my to-do list for him is that outside shot. Fox is going to command attention when he's driving to the lane or even on the perimeter. Castle, he started to see some defensive scheme for him. He even mentioned it last season. And of course, Wemby, he's going to grab a triple, quadruple team constantly. So that's going to leave Vassell to either knock down the outside shot, the three shot, or just attack. Like I said just a few seconds ago, Vinny, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another jump in his numbers statistically if he does this right. He'll have spacing. He won't have that many defenses trying to focus on him. You mentioned, the defensive end, how much you like that he focused on that. That's another threat defensively. The Spurs last season, at least for a good chunk of the start of the season, they were one of the better defensive teams. Now you throw in Devin with the commitment, or at least a more commitment to defense. This team could be rocking with all these four guys, couldn't they?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the thought of those four being on the floor together, that's really exciting. I mean, Devin may be a guy that's like, don't forget about me.
Exactly. I mean, or maybe he's like, yes, forget about me. Defenses, don't stay here. Yeah,
I was going to say he might be so wide open and hit so many shots they might start doubling Devin. This is working out so well. But no, I love all he said about picking his spots. Floor spacing could work out well for him. An opportunity to knock down big shots, stay busy on defense. Yes, I mean, to hear him again, I just can't harp on it enough. He's saying all the right things and he'll do all the right things. So this could work out really, really well just because a guy understands what they expect his expectation to be when you have guys in front of him like there are. Yeah, this is not all bad at all.
Yeah. Knowing that, though, I want to circle back to something we brought up earlier. Knowing that he's willing to take a shift in his role, knowing that he's aware he's not going to be the first, second, third, or probably the fourth option when he's on the court if they were all playing together. Does that still lean to him coming off the bench? Because you still have Harrison Barnes. And to me, that still makes sense in that starting unit. Does that shift what he just said right now, shift your thoughts on whether he should be a starter or off the bench?
So everything he said there insinuates that he should be a starter.
Okay.
But when you mix and mesh different combos, he can still come off the bench and be out there with some of those guys. So I do like that idea of him being right off the bench and still mixing and meshing with those guys. But I see whoever the head coach is understanding those rotations and combos and getting him out there with some of those people. But yeah, I'm actually pro Devin right off the bench. Now he may not be. He may say, "Nah, I need to be out there in the starting five." But again, in the end, though, whatever is best for the team. So
for sure,
I can see that working out really well.
And look at some of the numbers here. Now, unfortunately, the sample size for him and Fox together, along with Castle, it's very minute because Fox only played 5 games. So we're going to shut that name out for the moment. But just Vassell, the starting unit, with Castle, Wemby, Barnes, obviously Vassell, and then Chris Paul. Just that was the unit where you saw at least those 3 guys on the court last season. They played a total of 166 minutes together. Vinny, that was a net rating of plus 8.4. They gave you a defensive rating of 116.8 and an offensive rating of 125.2. Not bad. Not
at all.
Again, we're not even factoring Fox because the sample size is just too small to even for it to be a factor. But that should open some eyes too. Should the Spurs want to stick with Vassell in that starting unit? Now, who knows what they do in the draft? That could be a big wild card. So let's talk about that. If they're going to go best available, and the best available is another Devin Vassell swing man does that change anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, it could.
Yeah.
Again, it may affect where Devin is in rotations, and whether that be a starting five or off the bench. Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns still. We're going to learn more when we see where they land in the lottery and who those guys are, and they have more cash to spend this summer. So yeah, anything we say today, Jeff, could be meat in like a decade later. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to see where everybody lands, including Devin, a guy who I do like. Love how hard he plays. I like watching him on the court because he's got that gear, that motor, and he wants to compete. And I love the way he can dribble and drive and move and shoot. And then him talking about a better commitment on the defensive end. I want him in the mix here. I want him in the fold here. But it'd be curious to see where he lands.
Got to bring it up. It's kind of like the elephant in the room. Was a lot of rumblings about the Spurs chasing Giannis, or they could be on their radar, and Kevin Durant. Phoenix or Milwaukee, they're going to want to haul back, and Devin could be part of that package. He has the contract to make some of the numbers work. Is he still tradable? Does it have to reach to that level? A Kevin Durant, a Giannis, to say, okay, yeah, we have to part with Devin. Like, you're going to have to likely part with him, Vinny, if that situation arises this offseason.
That's a reality. That's a probability. Yeah. I think Devin would be an asset that somebody else would want back. There's no doubt about it. You hate to see him leave, but if you land somebody like a Giannis or maybe even a KD, that's the reality of that trade, is that a guy like Devin Vassell is probably going to be part of the return deal. Yep. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's still kind of the big elephant in the room. You got to keep an eye on that. The Spurs, although they're very close to getting out of their rebuild, but if they have a chance to get a Greek freak in a Spurs uniform, because there's some rumblings out there that he's not happy in Milwaukee, and add the fact that Milwaukee doesn't have a draft pick for like decades. I'm exaggerating, but they get a long time before they get any draft picks. And the Spurs are a wealth of draft picks if they're going to make a deal. Even Vegas might know something, Vinny. Bovada put out the odds where Giannis could land next season. The Spurs were second in the odds behind only Brooklyn. So
and for example, I saw a Vegas email today in my email, that the Nets had the best odds, but in this email, the Spurs were like 10th or 11th down the list. So it may depend on what odds you see, but everybody's got to know that if they land a Giannis, the Bucks are going to get a haul in return. That's just not non-negotiable. The Spurs have to give up a lot to land the freak.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that'd be a great topic for the offseason, just soon, considering that's kind of the hot topic right now. But nevertheless, we're focusing on Devin Vassell. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I would love for him to stay a Spur. I think he's aware how he'll mesh with the new big three, I guess, Castle, Wemby, and Fox. He understands that it's going to shift. But I still got him on the table if the right deal comes along. I think, unfortunately, that's just the reality of the NBA. And if the Spurs want to get back to the NBA mountaintop, and if it's going to cost them that, so be it. But it's going to have to take kind of a big-time player to come back to San Antonio. But nevertheless, should he stay as Spur, Vinny, he's aware of his role. I think it'll work out if he's in Spur uniform next season for the full 82 games.
I completely agree. I'd be excited to see it happen.
Absolutely. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And what do you think about Devin Vassell and his role moving forward, fitting in with Castle, Wemby, and Fox? You can let us know on the YouTube page, Locked On Spurs. Leave a comment there. We're reading the future episode of Locked On Spurs. And let Vinny know your thoughts on his takes on X at V Vinzetta. When we get back, we're going to talk about those Locked On Spurs fan comments. You guys got a lot to say. We're going to dive into them in just a few seconds. But first, I want to talk to you about Game Time.
There's nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last-minute MLB showdown or soaking in the excitement of an NBA matchup. But finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge until I found Game Time. Game Time makes scoring last-minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer. And with their all-in pricing, you see that total cost upfront, no surprises at checkout. This is why I love Game Time. They have last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater, whatever you can find. You can grab last-minute seats for, say, a Spurs game and save big on their zone deals. Peace of mind with the seats views before you buy, no surprise fees, and a low-cost price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. The lowest price guarantee means you'll never have to worry about overpaying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And then a fan predicts when the Spurs will be in the finals.
Okay.
Okay, so there's that one. All right, so here we go. And count us down in 3, 2, and 1. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with the Hulk. Oh, that's not the Hulk. That's Vinnie Vinzetta. I'm sorry. I got confused, Vinny, because you all got that
It's
size.
the hair. It's the hair, yeah.
He is with KENS 5 TV. Follow him on X at V Vinzetta. He'll tell you what he's working on in just a few minutes. And so much more. But let's dive into some Locked On Spurs fan comments. You guys are leaving a bunch of them. I wish we had time to read them all. We're going to pick 2 and react to them right now. Let's start off with this one. This is from Benjamin Lim, 3921. He says, Spurs, stick to the script, Spurs. They'll be in the finals. Brace yourself, Vinny. In 3 years. But they need better players. Now, that's a bold take for the Spurs from the rebuild in 3 years to leap into the NBA Finals. That might be a stretch, but hey, Vinny, they got the assets. They got the players to flip. They got draft picks. They really want to. They can really challenge and be a power in the Western, let alone the NBA. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they're on their way to being a power in the West again. Although I heard just a couple of years ago, people were like, we'll be back in the finals in that 3 to 5 year window. So if you do the math, and I heard that a couple of years ago, maybe people are right that they're 3 years away from the NBA finals. Yeah. Although I would say that with each passing years, I watch the NBA, experience really, really matters in the playoffs. Like the guys that have been there, done that. So I want to lean in and say I can see 3 years with Fox and Wemby, but maybe it actually will take longer because you got to see what you do in this lottery, and if you get one of those top stars, you got to mix him in. So I don't know. I think my heart tells me it might be just a little bit longer than 3 years, but hey, surprise us all. If it is 3 years, then heck yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pushing it a bit considering the West. Because you're gonna have a lot of stuff. The Spurs have a lot of stuff go their way. They got to have some luck, some major luck. You still have the Oklahoma City Thunder to deal with. They're gonna be a power team in the West. Houston, despite their playoff performance right now, they're on the rise.
Yeah.
The Warriors seem to never die. They're like the Spurs of old, cockroaches. They just won't go away. Clippers, who knows what happens with them? So there's still that just stuff they can't control, but they can't control their own fate simply by making smart deals, trades, drafting well, and player development. Something they've definitely been doing them with well over the last few years. And let's not forget too, Vinny, even in the final days of the regular season, this past season, we heard Mitch say it again. We're not skipping steps. Although I beg to differ. I think they are skipping steps. You don't bring in the De'Aaron Fox and not call that skipping steps. Vinny, your thoughts?
Well, that's true. But how many times we heard that, man? We have heard Mitch and others say we're gonna trust the process and we're not gonna skip any steps. So when you hear that, 3 years does sound a little iffy. But this is the NBA, man. Seasons can change with injuries just like that. And a trade can change the landscape just like that. So as soon as somebody might say, 3 years, that's being a little bit too positive. In this league, that can happen. It absolutely it can happen. And I mean, Victor Wembanyama is going to go down, assuming he stays healthy. He's one of the great players of all time in the history of the NBA. De'Aaron Fox is awesome. Castle is on his way. They have money to work with, so they can really keep stringing something special together pretty quick, I think.
Yeah. And imagine if these rumors are right and the Spurs are interested in Giannis and they do that. Oh my goodness.
Who is stopping the Greek freaking Wemby? Like
nobody is.
Like you're going to lose a game occasionally, but you're not going to lose many games there.
No, not at all. All right, but I'll temper my expectations of that. So I'm not going to get too excited of dreams of Wemby and Giannis on the court together at the Frost. All right, great comment. Keep them coming. All right, the next comment is from, wow, this is an interesting handle, but here we go. CCD 8615. So I guess he likes something called CCD, but let's hear what CCD has to say. Says, realistically, I think the play-in is doable, but not the playoffs. The West is just too stacked to make a big jump. Now, Vinny, he's reacting to yesterday's Locked On Spurs regarding if the Spurs can get into the playoffs as soon as next season, a 1-6, not through the play-in, literally get a 1-6 seed. What do you think about that? Realistically, next season, does it feel like it has to be play-in or bust? Does it have to just be postseason or bust? Where do you stand on that? Do you think the Spurs can even afford another down season of missing postseason action?
No, I don't think missing it all together again. That's not in the cards. I mean, that's almost not acceptable at this point. I mean, so at bare minimum, you need to be in the old play-in journey. But I think making the top 6 would show quite a leap. I mean, that would show amazing process. I could see them easily making the play-in and having a few more things go their way and maybe landing at that 5 or 6. That would be tremendous progress for this program. But yeah, I mean the benchmark for sure absolutely has to be the play-in tournament.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Joe. I think it has to be play-in next season at bare minimum. Now, to get into the postseason, great. Number 5, number 6 seed, perfect. But again, with the West being so stacked, you ain't going to get number 1. That's for sure. You're probably not going to get number 2. We know who those teams are likely going to be next season. There's 3, 4, and 5. Can it be Denver? Are they going to collapse? Dallas, you think about that too. We're not even thinking about Dallas. Sure, they made the Luka deal, but on paper, Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, and whoever they pick in the draft, could make some noise in the West, but I guess we got to see what happens.
They thought they had a championship team if Kyrie's healthy. So assume the Mavs are going to be in the fold again next year.
Yeah. So it's still kind of a road to take to get into the postseason, a 1-6 seed. But play-in, I agree with you, Vinny. Play-in at minimum, because this is 7 seasons now of no postseason action.
Been a while, man.
Yeah.
We've been too spoiled about being able to relax. Starting in mid-April, we need to get busy again.
Absolutely. I think the last time they were in it was the play-in, right? Was that the Derek White dunk on Denver, or was that with DeMar DeRozan? Do you remember that?
Was the last time they were in? Was
against Memphis, right? I think it was against Memphis.
Was it? Okay, I remember the game where LaMarcus Aldridge was holding the basketball at the half-court line with 10 seconds to go against the Nuggets. And I'm like, what are you doing? Maybe that was a 7-point series.
Yeah, but that's how long it's been, everybody, since the Spurs have seen any type of play-off or play-in action. All right, thank you all so much for leaving those Locked On Spurs comments. Keep them coming. It's a long offseason. You'll help us generate some good discussions here at Locked On Spurs. Vinny, what are you working on? Why should Spurs fans, or just sports fans in general, follow you on X at Vinnie Vinzetta? What you got cooking?
What I got cooking this week? Well, the Clemens High School boys golf team is headed to the state tournament next week, and they have 2 brothers. They have 2 brothers, a senior and a sophomore. They've basically been playing golf since they were in diapers, and and they are really, really good. One of them's already signed, committed to Texas A&M, the senior, the sophomore brother, hoping to follow Big Bro to A&M. They're really, really good. So we'll see if Clemens Boys Golf, who's never had any history of being really good in golf, maybe can get it done and bring home a state championship. And then I'm working on one more story, and I'm drawing a blank. What the heck am I? The UTSA football offensive coordinator. He's got a medical degree. Like, he went to med school. He's a doctor. Wow. I mean, the guy could be raking it in, right? But he loves football too much. So he's the new QB coach over at UTSA. And in fact, he showed up in scrubs at Coach Traylor's office and said, "I want to be a coach." And Coach Traylor was like, "Let's not do this. Go be a doctor." But the guy, Coach Patel, worked on Coach Traylor, and Traylor said, "Okay, man, if this is what you want." So he's hired as the new QB coach, and he's so good. His memory is so good. You can say any year to him in the Super Bowl era, any year, and he can tell you who won the game and who was the MVP. And I tested him on camera, and he's really good.
All right. See, all they can look forward to is by simply following Vinnie on X at Vinzetta, and of course watching him on KENS 5 TV. Just putting your channel on there, or even the KENS 5 Plus app. Seriously, there is so many ways to check out Vinnie and all his stories he has cooking for you guys. And trust me, we're probably going to need it too with a long off season, huh, Vinnie? We got a long off season ahead of us.
I got one more Spurs thought.
All right, what's up?
You posted on Twitter that somebody, whoever was hired as the most recent coach, you said, or they extended somebody in the NBA was extended.
Oh, that was Doug Christie. They converted him from interim head coach to full-time head coach now.
Doug Christie with the Kings, and you said, might the Spurs do the same thing for Mitch? I am telling you, man, in my opinion, I am telling you, and they may not have the final decision, but I'm telling you, this current Spurs roster, these guys love Mitch. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not the top of the organization will let him stay is to be determined. But the players, I just get the feeling the players do like Mitch, who he is, what he stands for, how he has their backs, and honestly, that he didn't get a fair shake because of the Wemby and Fox injuries,
right.
And him being thrust into the role that he was, the way he was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we still got to wait to see what's going to happen with Popovich. Yep. He had another health scare, but he's Mitch, that is, definitely perhaps on the short list of coaches if Pop decides to hang it up. But where he lands on that short list is interesting because Mike Malone's and your Jenkins and your Budenholzers that are out there, seasoned veteran coaches. So you got Mitch. So we'll see. But I agree with you. Ultimately, I don't, I know there's probably a whole other episode of Locked On Spurs, but I would not be surprised if they do the same, convert him from interim to head coach, just like they did Doug Christie in Sacramento. By the way, before I let you go, Vinny, you also see that article that was on KENS5.com about that Wemby card that sold for over, I think it was like $58,000.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And here's the thing. It was a low number card too.
Really?
Yes.
I need to go pull out some of my low number cards and check them out.
yeah. Apparently it was from a line called a Kaboom line, and it looks very comic booky, but with a real life vintage. But apparently that was kind of a rare series that was out there, and few collectors have those. And $58K, man, for a card.
Wow.
For a piece of paper.
Crazy world we live in.
Vinny's gonna be eating through his box soon. That's a practice, sir.
I could put my retire early plan into action if I can sell one of my Wemby cards back.
God, it just takes one hit, man. And that early retirement can start ASAP. Again, he is Vinnie Vinzetta. Follow him on X at Vinzetta. And we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Make sure to check us out wherever you get your favorite podcasts: iTunes, Spotify, KENS 5 Plus app, YouTube. Also, leave a comment on the YouTube page and subscribe ASAP. We'll be back tomorrow talking all things silver and black as the Spurs season, or off season, I should say. I wish it was still the season for them, but as the Spurs off season continues. So for the big dog himself, Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.